Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Down Unders. Another week, another preseason preview, and we know every week we have Brody on this channel. Brody, my brother, how's your week been so far? How excited you are for the rugby league season coming up?
It's been a bit hot, to be honest, as you would know. Heat wave here in Brisbane. Temps of 38, feeling like 40 for the rest of the week. So yeah, it's been a bit full on in the old factory. But yeah, footy season, man, keen as 2 weeks now till trials. You start to see, top 30s confirmed. Yeah, so getting very excited now as we talk about every day, just waiting for that footy season.
100%. And it's like we're so close, we're so ready that when the Supercoach app fucking fires up straight away, day one, we're on that straight away. Obviously, guys, we let you know before that we did not buy the premium version of Supercoach because we aren't those guys. But really get excited also, guys, for the future. We will be coming with a Supercoach show next Thursday. So make sure you note that down in your notepad, in your, hit the notification bell. Let us know when we go live next Thursday. If you want to jump on, I will also give out our little code for our little group on Supercoach there. So get excited, guys. Me and Brody have been jotting down that many different teams. Actually, Brody's been really good at just locking down one team and not switching it around. I did say to Brody I was going to be better at that, but honestly, bro, I've been switching so many blokes around.
You're just having nightmares of it, aren't you, bro? Like, oh shit, what about him? What about him?
Bro, legit, I'm like, how am I going to fit in Cleary, Nico Hines, Harry Grant, you know what I mean?
Tom Treboy, Mitchell, Charles Mitchell, Callum Pong.
Bro.
I don't know, bro.
Supercoach needs like a Roosters salary cap option. I think that's really where it's going to help us.
That might be the premium, bro, if you buy the premium.
Oh, that's what we missed out on. But all right. I'm going to jump on there. What's it like? $2 a month? Hopefully, hopefully it's not. The kids need Christmas, bro. I don't know. And I don't even have kids. So that's a crazy one. But yeah, look, guys, get excited for the future. There's so many more shows coming up. And of course, as you do see by the title and as you saw last week, we're going to go through our preseason predictions of each side here. We're predicting the round one lineup. And then also giving you our thoughts around their squads coming into it. Last week, we did the bottom four sides. This week, we're going the next four sides up. So the teams that just missed out on the top eight, but we're fighting within that top eight contention. And obviously, next week, it will be so on and so forth, another four teams. And the last one will be the top 5 teams in the competition. So for Brody, I think it's next week for you guys for the doggies, right? You finished 6th on the ladder or 5th?
7th.
You finished 7th. I thought you finished in the top 6. No, you finished 6th. You finished 6th.
Oh, I didn't think we got a home final. My memory.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, core against Manly, remember? Yeah.
Yeah, the robbery. Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to forget about that, didn't you?
Well, we played finals, so it's all good.
Shout out to everyone in the chat too, guys. Make sure you chat down below. Any questions, any queries, me and Brody will definitely try to bounce on them when we do see them. Shout out to Tahi, bro. Always a chat, always a consistent chatter that we have here in the chat as well. So yeah, Brody, next week we do have your doggies, so get excited for this one. But of course, guys, you know my channel. We've got the Wars this week, and it's going to be really, really exciting. Before we get into all that, though, there's a couple of news stories I want to talk about with Brody and get his thoughts on overall before we jump into all the predictions. But the first big one, probably a big one that everyone is going to be talking about, whenever anyone talks about the West Tigers, that it brings a lot of negative viewers, this and that. Like, it's just the way everyone goes about things. But before we talk about the captaincy, this is one throwing off the side too, bro. Did you know that the West Tigers had a barbershop in their Center of Excellence?
No, I did not.
Bro, well, first course of action from old Richardson, just getting into CEO with the West Tigers. He has now took away the barbershop from the West Tigers. So he wants to actually think about football and not about haircuts.
I mean, sure. Are they going to take the cheerleaders away as well? Like...
That's crazy, right? Like, these guys are getting fresh cuts in there before training, after training. It's crazy. Apparently, some of the boys' stuff attire apparently cuts hair and that. So they took away the barber chair. They took away the barber from the Center of Excellence. I think that's massive news to touch on before we run into everything. So your thoughts there?
Yeah, I guess now they're all going to have hair like Luai, but if that's what they want.
It's going to be a uniform thing. Everyone with long hair,
We're
like
copying
Jerome
and pasting
Luai.
the Panthers exactly. So Lua, you are now the clone. We want everyone to look like you. Maybe that's
so
what they're
crazy,
going
bro.
for.
That's so crazy. It's such a Tigers news story that it popped out there. It's such a Tigers news story.
It had to be, bro.
Oh, it's just crazy. They really don't learn. But let's talk about the more positive side of thing with the West Tigers. They have named their captain just recently, I think within a couple of hours ago. It will be co-captainship of Jerome Luai and Api Koroisau. So I would probably believe that Api Koroisau still have the captaincy there from overall, and Jerome Luai would just be the one if, let's say, Api Koroisau comes to the bench or, play out the rest of the season. But your thoughts on those two? Obviously, for me, that was the two obvious options for the captaincy, and I know you think exactly the same thing, but yeah, that's definitely the right direction, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like with the young squad that the Tigers are trying to get together now, it's a no-brainer. You got Api, who's been struggling the last few years with the Tigers, who's carried them a little bit through some games to get them across the line. And now you're bringing in someone like Luai, who's got all that experience, that finals experience, grand final experience. Like, it's a no-brainer, and you're not going to go and strip Api from that and give it just to Luai. I think it's great to have them both on there. They're going to set the benchmark, and they're going to drag the rest of the guys through the walls.
Yeah, exactly, bro. And it could be no better than you get, Jerome Luai into your club. He's definitely got the mentality, the winning mentality, and that may as well give him the captaincy. Very similar to what you guys did with Critter last year. Obviously, he's proven himself in the offseason to be the guy to carry the side. Same with you guys with Critter. He proved in the offseason, came back early, led the side through, and they gave obviously Critter the captaincy, and look how he went with the Doggies. Definitely two different situations there. I think Jerome Luai has a lot more work to do with these West Tigers to get him in a similar position with the Doggies, but definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, man, he just wants to win. If anything, it might even help him mature even more as a player, and not, bring that grubbiness into the game. But, he's a competitor. He just wants to win, and I think that's the perfect move for him.
Yeah, and I think everyone's so curious about how they're going to go this year and all that, guys. But if you want to get our thoughts overall on the West Tigers squad, that actually happened last week. And thank you so much, guys, for everyone for sharing it around, jumping in and viewing it. It was one of our biggest streams of Down Unders that we've ever had. So it's really good to see that we're growing in the future. And guys, also, make sure on YouTube, the best thing about YouTube, all our live streams are, obviously they go live, and then after it, you can watch them all back. And I appreciate everyone that does that and helps us to the future. But definitely big news for the West Tigers there, and a positive news other than the negative news of no barbershop anymore, which is so sad, bro. So sad.
Oh, what are they going to do now?
I don't know. That's bro. They need to learn to stay out of the media, right? I think that's the biggest thing. I think Richo wanted to make this a statement as we're moving forward as a football club, but really this just stinks of just like it's the West Tigers again.
I mean, you got the Broncos with the shirtless ban, and then they're going to do these boot camps. Like, the media is just desperate for a story at the moment.
Bro, right. They really are. They're really hunting for everything and anything. And that had to be one of the news stories out there. I had a mad giggle when I heard it, and I knew you would love it. So I wanted to shoot that on you just as a side, like little curveball, if you will. But another big news that's only just been happening, guys. This is all just breaking news story. We don't know how this is all going to turn out, but Francis Molo from the St. George Illawarra Dragons has requested an immediate release. Apparently he is standing himself down from training, and that I think is due to mental issues from everything it's coming out to be. It's obviously probably going to get pushed as compassionate grounds. So I don't know the full situation going on there. But Francis Molo coming onto the market, do you see other teams in the NRL coming for him? I think he has potential in that. He's a good defensive prop overall. He's definitely not the upper echelon type of prop, but he has played for the Maroons before as well. So he has good potential there. If he came to the market, do you see teams being interested in that, Francis Molo?
I think the Dolphins definitely target him. If he's having mental troubles outside of football, I know he's got family in that Redcliffe, Deception Bay area. Exactly. Redcliffe's got an aging pack there as well. So he would fit straight in there and be a good inclusion for them, I believe. Plays for Queensland. I think it'll be a good fit for him back at the Dolphins. So.
Bro, the hitman in the middle there with Kafusi and Francis Molo and all those boys, Ray Stone, if he gets a little bit of minutes this year, we'll definitely talk about all that in the future with their predicted lineup. But it definitely would be a good option, him to go back home in Redcliffe. Obviously, Redcliffe, The Broncos are there, but I don't see the Broncos really forking out any more cash. Obviously, they got a lot to deal with Selwyn Cobbo and that. But yeah, I think, you probably hit the nail on the head there. The Redcliffe Dolphins do seem like a good one. If not, he'll probably go back to Q Cup playing for Sunny Coast or Redcliffe anyway, right?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Norths. Yeah, probably.
It depends. There'll be a few clubs that are chasing him and that can mold him. You know, if someone like Melbourne grabbed him, could be a killer.
Yeah, 100%. Really sad to hear whatever's going on there. Obviously the Dragons are going through this period at the moment where there's players incoming and outgoing. Obviously Flano's trying to change the club, whether that has something to do with this or maybe he is just family sick, obviously homesick and wants to come home with family. So I hope he's okay. But yeah, we'll definitely, the more that comes out on this, guys, we definitely will keep you up to date here. Michael Molo's still contracted with the club as well, too. Yeah. So whatever happens on there may be a a knock-on effect. He may come home as well. Who knows? Potentially. Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on before we jump over? Obviously, you were talking before. Dylan Brown does a little bit more on the Dylan Brown sort of stuff. We didn't really go. We went in depth, but we were talking about some other teams and that. But there's another team that's interested in, or they were trying to fork interest in there for Dylan Brown.
Yeah, rugby union apparently. So there's been little rumors in that media, rumor mill of union might be interested in chasing Dylan Brown when he picks up his player option next year. But I'm not too sure. Not much has come out from him himself. It's all just hearsay at the moment. So maybe everyone's just trying to get the article before it's even an article. So we'll see what happens there. But, he's still quite young. I hope he doesn't leave the game. But, if you are feeling like you need a change, why not, go make your money in union? It pays a bit more and then still come back to NRL down the line.
They're throwing money around at the moment. The other team, I think that from watching it back, I think that we could have touched on maybe a little bit more, but the Roosters. I don't remember talking about the Roosters that much in this option, but they've always been hunting for a big fish. This does seem fishy that all this is coming out, and obviously they are chasing, a big man. Would you see Dylan Brown fitting in with them? Obviously, Sammy Walker looking for another halves partner. Sandon Smith's probably going to take over him while he's injured with, Chad Townsend, but both those guys probably couldn't hold a candle to Dylan Brown. Could you see the Roosters being a big option there?
Anybody worth over $1 million, the Roosters are interested in. It's as simple as that, brother. So yes, long story short, yes. Any somewhat big name, representative player, origin player, the Roosters will send money their way.
Yeah, and with all the rumors going around too, there was rumors on in the off season about obviously Brendan Smith's getting pushed out of the Roosters. There's a lot of documentation on that. A team that's been noted about that is the Parramatta Eels, obviously looking for a hooker. Whether people believe obviously Brendan Smith's better hooker or 13, this and that, but they're obviously looking. And I think a fan page put it out that he was a sniff for the Parramatta Eels, just locking him up straight away. Could this be food for thought? Whether, if they let go of Dylan Brown, they bring in Brendan Smith. I probably would prefer to keep Dylan Brown and that option there, but that could be an option for the Parramatta Eels as well.
Straight swaps, you reckon?
Oh, that would be a straight swap and maybe some money on top, right?
Maybe a couple other players, surely.
Yeah, what else do you need? Do you guys have Jake Turpin now, eh?
We got him with his dirty mullet and all.
That's right. As I say, if they still had Jake Turpin, they could have 2 hookers for the price of Dylan Brown or something like that. But I don't know, too many other options. But yeah, definitely interesting news story, guys. Obviously, anything more comes out of it, me and Brody will definitely keep touching on it while we have week to week, all our previews coming to the season, because it's definitely a big news story. And obviously, it may turn out to be nothing, right? It could just be him testing the market and nothing really comes from it, which I do believe is probably going to happen. But still a good news story to talk about week in, week out, right?
Yeah, 100%. It just makes Parramatta have to bump up their paycheck if they do want to keep you. So why not?
He's on a pretty dollar already. That's going to be an interesting little pay packet they've got to get into. But hey, if they want to keep the big guns and keep them happy,
that's exactly right.
What have to do, right? Yeah, true. All right, brother. Anything else before you want to jump into our previews this week?
Nah, no news so far, mate. No other barbershops that I've heard of closing down or nothing else being taken away from teams.
It's been a quiet, as you kind of touched on, the media going around like they're hunting for news stories, but it has been a fairly quiet off season. Obviously, the Ezra Mam situation, all that sort of stuff happened kind of pre all that, right? But I came onto the show and I was kind of hunting for things really to think about with news stories, right?
maybe players are finally getting the picture to lay low and not do stupid shit, especially around mates that record it.
Well, actually, did you see the Roosters coming out and saying that you know, I don't really, I think you can say the word on YouTube and not fucking whatever. I'm not even monetized anyway, but the old ban, if they get done for the old nose beers, I think it's a one and done. They're pretty much just sacking you straight away. So
maybe that's why Brendan Smith's on the way out.
And with that, we move on to the preseason. That's it. It's probably a really good rule to have with the Roosters overall, and especially with it, with obviously the way you know, Australian culture is at the moment. It's not just, I wouldn't just say it's rugby league culture. It is Australian culture. Like, you know, it is a big thing in Australian culture, party culture. It's probably a good little rule to have overall. So with that said and done, let's move over to the Warriors, baby. 2025, my New Zealand Warriors. I've been so happy to talk with you. Me and Levon obviously had little bits of chats of this with our first shows on Wise Up TV, but I will give you my guys my 1 to 17 predicted team list in this show here. This is as recording right now. Things may change in the preseason. What I see from obviously, you know, players like Tanner Boyd and all that sort of stuff. We will talk about more of that in the future. But with the squad overall, our games for 2025 for the New Zealand Warriors, we have Tanner Boyd coming over from Gold Coast Titans, Aaron Clark coming over from Gold Coast, James Fisher-Harris coming over from the Penrith Panthers, a massive one there. And Samuel Healy, a guy with a ton of potential coming from the Cronulla Sharks. Our New South Wales Cup hooker may have the potential to push, obviously, Wade Egan in the future there too. Our big losses, and they are big losses. They come with a lot of experience in that. Adam Fanor-Blake going to the Sharkies. Tohu Harris, Sean Johnson retiring. Marcelo Montoya going to the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Shout out the doggies. Jazzy Tavanga with the Seagulls. And Setu 2 has been signed with the Brisbane Tigers, but I had seen rumors that the Melbourne Storm had picked up Setu 2. He's definitely a talented winger that we had there. He's gone. He's obviously left us, which is pretty sad overall. What grade would you give us overall, Brody? You being the neutral, there for our signings and our losses. What do you reckon?
James Fisher-Harris saves you a little bit. Other than that, it's pretty bad. That's some big losses, but you know, they could be positive losses. You know, Johnson was coming towards the end of his career, and so was Tohu. So it's not like he's lost them due to a recruiting problem. So I won't judge you guys on the retirements. I'm gonna say it's a B. You know, I rate James Fisher-Harris probably a lot more than AFB for a lot of different things in his game that AFB just doesn't quite have. Let's just call James Fisher-Harris the more complete player.
Yeah, I think that the defensive side of things definitely lifts up that area of Fisher-Harris, and he has the premierships to back that up. Obviously, you know, for me, Adam Fanor-Blake's the more it's hard to make this like discussion, but I believe he's the more talented prospect, right? Like he's got the running game, the tackle breaking, the everyone will point out the try scoring and stuff like that. But when you think of mentality, when you think of defense, when you think of just like what you need to really win football games in the hard moments, I think Fisher-Harris has that more so than what Adam Fanor-Blake did have that as well. And I don't really want to, that's pretty much where it really is there. But your thoughts on that, eh? That's where you're kind of sitting with it?
Yeah, exactly right. The more complete player, and everything else James Fisher-Harris does for your team week in, week out, minute by minute. You know, it's not just a big moment for him, and that's why he flies under the radar so much, because he's doing it for the whole time he's out there on the field. He's not waiting for a big moment to score a try and everyone go, fuck, he's great. And I feel like that's what happens with AFB just a little bit.
Yeah, and as I said to you pre-show, and then I'm pretty sure I've said it that many times on the internet and that, like, you look at all the best props or the premiership winning props in the competition, they all are like, you know, James Fisher-Harris obviously and Moses Leota did it for, you know, 4 years in a row. And preview to that, like some of the best props of all time, Shane Webke's of the world, Petro Seven Receivers and stuff like that. There's been more talented props in the competition at those times, but those guys always win out due to their mentality, their hard nose, and just turning the corner in that sort of way as well. And with that being said, my brother, so you got a B for us there. I would probably say for me at the moment, I'm going to probably lay at a C+. I think that losing a little bit of experience of like Tohu Harris, Sean Johnson, Jazzy Tavanga, I feel like is going to be a decent little loss for us as well. Just his mentality. I like Jazzy there for that. But obviously I feel like that Fisher-Harris is the big one that lifts us up there. Everything else is kind of like, Aaron Clark's a good pickup overall, but he does very similar things to Jazz Tavanga, probably a little step up above from Jazzy, maybe. You can definitely argue that point. Tenor for me is still fairly unproven as a halfback, so I can't really say anything there. And Samuel Healy is definitely a project player. He's incredibly talented in that. But if I said to you, Brody, like, Samuel Healy, hooker for the Sharkies, you probably haven't seen too many minutes of him in New South Wales Cup, right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, so for that overall, we definitely haven't had too many incomings for the outgoings that we had. I'm going to go C+ because I think Fisher Harris is a major in for sure, and he carries us to there.
I just think, I'll give you guys a bit higher just because I don't think the guys that you've let go of are bad, and that's due to retirement and other reasons. But I think they're all good move-ons. If you want to move past and move forward as a club and a culture, you got to start young, unfortunately. Yeah. And that's kind of what you guys are doing, is buying players to build around. And it clearly worked, because I didn't agree with half of our signings the year before, but, we got rid of some older guys, some hard-headed guys that don't want to change, and we brought in guys that you can work around, and it's obviously paid wonders. So I hope the same for you guys. Aaron Clark is definitely a guy you can build a team around. But, he's just going to do his role. He's not going to try and be the man. He's just going to be a man. So...
yeah, and as I kind of touched on Wise Up TV last night, I feel like we have stripped back a lot of the, I said it as egos. I feel like that's sometimes a harsh word to say, because I don't believe but it's just the aura, right? Sean Johnson's a big aura, like his confidence, like all that sort of stuff. Adam Fenner-Blake, aura. Tohu Harris, aura, but we got more of a team-based side now, right? Everyone, I feel like their egos are in check, and I feel like they're working towards one good goal. And listening to Webby on the latest podcast, on the One Take podcast, the One New Zealand Warriors podcasting, it was a really positive sign to hear him saying exactly the same thing. It's more of a group sort of thing. He's talking about group connection, and listening to Ivan Cleary's book and reading Ivan Cleary's book, he puts such a big emphasis on the boys coming together and doing culture days, stuff like that. And Webby's are doing very similar things with the Warriors. So very, very excited for the future there too. But we're saying that, brother, let's get through our 1-17. So we're going to go 1 for 1 this time, right? Different to what we did last time, because we want to have a little bit more of a discussion there. But you're fullback for the New Zealand Warriors, brother. Yeah,
look, to fit everybody in that you guys should be playing, it's got to be Chance. Chancey has to be a number one. I know there's been calls for RTS, and you can make that case. He was Daly M fullback of the year, well back when at fullback. But to get both him and Chance, and a couple other guys on the team, Chancey's got to be your fullback.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, we definitely discussed this in depth on Wise Up TV last night. But yeah, Chancey for our system probably works a little bit better than what we have now. I feel like for a fullback in today's game, the playmaking ability, as in your passing game, and that's got to be at a certain level as well. And I feel like, the way we play our football with Chance out the back and sweeping probably opens up more options than RTS, who's really a run first sort of fullback there. In the future, we got Tane Tuapiki. That's definitely going to step up in that level, and I believe that he'll push Chance really solidly towards the end of the year. But I think we're going to start with CNK, and I think a good preseason that he has under him, brother. He had a disrupted preseason last season with injuries, and he had injury problems throughout the season. Hopefully this year, with a full preseason ready to go, he should be healthy and fit and raring.
100%, bro. He's just so underrated. I'll take him in a heartbeat. So stick with him.
All right, our winger pairing for the New Zealand Warriors of 2025, brother. Who you got on both wings?
Yeah, I went with DWZ, and I went with Ali Liatoa.
Oh, you put an Ali in the wing?
Yes, so I did a little bit of research because, I wasn't too sure which way the Warriors would go with Montoya, and I've seen a few people's predicted team lineups with him on the wing. The reason I like that as well is, he's a young blood coming through. RTS is very good defensively, and why not have him inside, making the calls to make that guy's job easier to bleed him in on the wing. And then, after a few weeks, you could probably switch Rog to the wing and put him into the center. But that was my thought process, is to make that transition into first grade nice and easy, playing outside someone like RTS. The confidence he would have defense-wise with someone like RTS inside of him would be, hey, pause.
Yeah. Oh, hey, settle down there. Hey. Oh, drink the water, brother. You're thirsty out there. For me, my bro, yeah, I'm going Dallin Watene-Zelezniak and RTS on the wings. I think overall, a big hole with Montoya moving away from us in the club is definitely some run meterage out of the back end. Obviously, Montoya did that so well for us, a very direct runner. And as Levon pointed out last night, obviously RTS is more of a different style. He's got more of the tackle break ability with his footwork, but he runs for, over that mark too. Like he averages over 200 meters a run, like a game. So I think that helps us in that area as well. I hear that Ali Leotola shouting that. For me, I believe he's good enough to be in that center role straight away. He's had a few games already in first grade, looked really up to it. Obviously the Sharks game, he had the Dolphins game where he got knocked out late, but he had a lot of big moments in that center position there. And also I said the Sharks game, mate. The first game he had against the Raiders against Jared Croker in Croker's 300 game, and he had a really good opportunities there. I would prefer him in that center role. As you pointed out too, you've definitely looked at him and he's got that Jesse Ramian type of movement to him, right? He's really solid there. So I'm excited to see the pairings we'll talk about right up next of, those two boys there. But your two centers that you've got, brother.
Yeah, Rocco, Berry, RTS. Both defensively pretty strong. Berry's had his worries. I think they will go away a little bit now that he doesn't have to worry so much about covering Johnson. That we've seen a fair bit of last year. So hopefully Berry can go back to making that right call on just eyes up defense moves instead of sort of, oh shit, I better cover Johnson. Like he can just play eyes up and get the read off what the attack is actually throwing at him.
Yeah, I do think that was definitely a part of Berry's game. He was doing a lot, for such a young center, and a lot of these tackle options due to that, either whether it was a defensive thing or maybe, him just trying to save Shawnee as much as he can, which he definitely pointed out there. He ended up, his option on the outside to make that cover tackle always ended up being a legs tackle. And, we centers these days are so good at getting that flick pass outside. We saw it with the Gold Coast Titans where he was kind of getting eat up on the edge by Brian Kelly. And when you got AKP on the wing there, when you're getting those flick passes there, it's pretty much like shut the gate, like it's game over. So Berry needs to get there early, get in front, lock up the ball as quickly as possible. I think he's good enough to do so. And that for me is my two pairing is Ali Leotola and Rocco Berry, as we kind of discussed. I believe that with you too. I think Berry's got such a high potential as being a great defensive center that has good attacking ability that we haven't really fully seen yet in first grade, but he has good attacking ability. And Ali Leotola is definitely going to be our future strike center that we're really building in the wings as well. Obviously, a notable miss we'll talk about soon is obviously Adam Bompe, who'll be waiting there in depth signing and that, but it's good that we have depth there overall, just in case anything happens there.
Well, judging off your, last year reign of injuries, it only makes sense.
Yeah, we need depth everywhere, right? And with that, moving on to probably the biggest, hottest discussion of the New Zealand Warriors coming to the season, brother. Who are your halves pairing?
Oh, to me, it's a no-brainer, man. It's Tamari Martin and Metcalf. It's what I would start with. If both are healthy, they've both got so much talent, so much potential, and I really think they'll be a good combination together. They'll really find the sweet spot on who's playing first receiver, who's playing second, or if they're sticking edges. They're just both good, talented guys that, Metcalf just plays off the ball, whereas Tamari Martin is happy to be that first receiver, play, really flat at the line, and Metcalf will just happily play off the ball and create from nothing. So I'm really excited. I hope there's no injuries and we get to see this roll out because both these two together are going to be a killer combination.
Yeah, and for me, it's exactly the same. I obviously say it as I don't care whether the seven's on Tomate's back or Luke Metcalf's back, because Luke Metcalf's come out and said he wants to be the halfback for the future, this and that. And he has shown ability in that area as well. The more you dive into it, you actually have to really search it out. But New South Wales Cup, there has been a couple of times at 7 preseason. He has played 7 before. He has got a kicking game. It's not we haven't consistently seen it, obviously, because Sean Johnson's been there, but he has the ability to kick, and I think that's a big option there when you have Tamari Martin. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people do want obviously Tanner Boyd in that option, because he definitely has the bigger boot than all these guys overall, but we just haven't seen it consistently from Metcalf. Who knows, Metcalf could have the more pinpoint kicking, we don't know. So for me, those are the two. I do believe that we struggled to get over the line last year, and the only time that we really cracked that and really looked very lethal in front of in that 20 is when we had Tamari Martin in that 7 jersey and that, and pairing up with someone like Luke Metcalf that has just ability just to break tackles and just create scrambles all the time. I think that would be a deadly pairing as well.
Yeah, it's just the way he complements his left-hand side as well, just through his speed, his presence, and this is Metcalf I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, just the way he plays off the ball. It's what he does off the ball, which makes him such a good 5'8". You know, your old school 5'8". To me, there's no difference these days. If you want to be the main man, you can be the main man. But it's the work that he does off the ball that I really like from Metcalf, and that's really going to work in well with Tamari Martin, who likes to be, you know, the captain a little bit with the ball. You know, getting to the points. He will control that, and Metcalf can just set up off the back of that, and he's just got the speed to chase a kick through or punch a hole, or you know, it's just, yeah, it's exciting. I'm really excited to see Metcalf actually reach his potential next year if he has an injury-free season.
Yeah, 100%. That's the big thing with it, is definitely injury-free as well. And guys, if you want more depth chat as well with statistics behind it and all that, go check out my video I did fairly earlier on, I think a couple of weeks ago now, where I talk about the Warriors the halfback battle. It's definitely one of the hottest discussions for the New Zealand Warriors this season. Everyone definitely, we want a good halfback there. Unfortunately, at the moment, it's like none of these guys are proven top-grade halfbacks. Like, you know, we're talking about top 8 ability and all that sort of stuff. But we have guys that have shown potential in moments. So, and that's what we're really hanging off of, and those are the guys we're going. And defensively, they actually are two of our best defensive pairing there, other than CHT, who I think led out all these defensive stats. And as everyone knows, he's a pretty good defensive number 6 there. I just think overall attacking ability in that, Metcalf to Martin, just the ability there is going to be really interesting to see next year.
100%, brother, 100%.
All right, moving on to the front row pairing, my brother. Who have you got there? I think this is a pretty simple one as well.
Yeah, pretty straightforward, man. James Fisher-Harris, Mitch Barnett.
100%, bro. Your thoughts on Mitch Barnett? Obviously, we just spoke about James Fisher-Harris, what he's going to bring about to New Zealand Warriors. Obviously, everyone knows what he's kind of going to bring. There's definitely a question, like, he is getting older, James Fisher-Harris, but I think he still has the ability. He's still got the leadership. Mitch Barnett, his growth for the last couple of years. Like, are you excited to see what more Mitch Barnett can definitely take? Obviously, he can crack starting roles now. He got into the New South Wales squad and also the Australian squad. Who's it to say he can't be a starter in those squads as well, right? Like, he's grown this far already.
Look, it wouldn't surprise me if you guys whack captaincy on him if you guys haven't already selected your captain. I think Mitch Barnett is the next up for that for you guys, and that speaks so highly of how much he's grown. You know, just it felt like just yesterday that we were bagging him out at the Knights for being a grub, and you know, how did this guy, you know, crack first grade? And the way he's turned his game around, man, and really pulled his head in to turn that aggression into positive football. It's unreal to see. Yeah, big shout out to Mitch Barnett.
Incredible. And hopefully he continues to grow, brother. I'm really excited to see that pairing. When I see those two names on paper, as I said to you before, like, I just see aggression. I see defense. I see like line speed.
You see your pants getting bigger.
Oh, baby. You don't want to see. I might need to take a drink after that one, bro. I'm getting thirsty right now. Bring on the season, baby. Bring on the season. Moving on before this gets carried away. Number 9, brother. I think this one's a fairly easy one right now, but definitely could be a discussion in the future.
Yeah, Wade Egan, man. So underrated. Just please put your head out of the way of people's knees, and and we might be all right, brother. You know, so just as long as he's not copping head knocks, man, he's up there in the hooker discussion for, you know, top 5 running around at the moment. He's definitely got the talent.
Yeah, 100%, brother, 100%. And we're all hoping for a clean bill of health for Wade Egan this season. But it's good that we signed players like Sam Healy that had a lot of potential there with the Sharkies in that number 9 jersey. Decent size hooker as well, 6'1" and that. Good running game, good passing game. He'll be good depth there. And obviously we still have Freddie Lussick at the club as well, who can do a very good serviceable job. And I think a lot of people still believe that Freddie Lussick still has stuff to give as well. I think that he trains hard, he works hard. He's definitely another guy we need to discuss there as well in those number 9 jerseys.
Yeah, his work ethic's probably unmatched, to be honest, and it does look that way when he's on the field. You know, he gives it 100% when he is out there. You know, his talent's probably not the best it could be, but it's just, you can tell it's all hard work. He earns everything he gets. So, yeah, not a bad backup. Not a bad backup at all.
100%. 100%, brother. Another discussion that a lot of Warriors fans definitely will be talking about this season, our edge back rowers, brother. Give us your 2 edge back rowers.
Yeah, it's Nikora and Catewell for me.
Yeah, I like that. I've got Murata Nikora and Catewell as well. I think that my thoughts on that before I throw it to you is I think that good rugby league sides probably need two different sort of body shapes or two different things to do with that. Obviously, with the Dogs, you got Jacob Preston that can score a try and all that, but he's more of known of like just that hard worker. He's going to get through a lot of work. And you got Viliami Kikau, that strike weapon that hits hard lines and that. For us, I'd like to see a very similar thing with Marata Niokore and Catewell. Obviously, Catewell, the longer minute, going to get through his work. And Marata Niokore, I do love Jackson Ford. I would love him to get a starting role there. But I think if you pair him up with Kurt Catewell, we got two very similar type of second rollers, and we had a moment last year where I feel like that took away from our attacking flair. When you got a guy running a hard line like Marata Niokore, I think guys have got to stop on him, and that opens up shape on the outside. I think we need that, and like Marata just needs to step up in this area as well. I think he fell off towards the end of last year, whether it was injury or something like that, but that's what I want out of Marata Niokore. Do you kind of agree in that?
Yeah, I do agree, brother. That's exactly right. Yeah, you definitely want a workhorse back row that's not going to get the same credentials as one that's scoring tries, but, you know, your Liam Martin type, you know, just work for everything. And then, yeah, you have somebody on the other side reap the rewards of scoring tries and stuff like that. So, yeah, I couldn't agree more on that.
Yeah, 100%. That's just my sort of thought process. You could do the other way. Obviously, a lot of people will probably argue that the Penrith Panthers have two big workhorses on the side because Scotty Sorensen gets through a ton of work as well, and Liam Martin, very similar. But obviously, the Penrith Panthers are the Penrith Panthers and that. When you look at all the other sides, they are a different breed, right? The Melbourne Storm, they have Sean Bloor and obviously Eli Katoa. Eli Katoa, hard running edge back rower. It just sucks for me to leave Jackson Ford out of the side as well because I do believe now he's starting to become, I wouldn't say underrated, but because of the errors of last year, I think a lot of people have got him out of the lineup or whatever. So we will talk about him more so in a few, definitely later on this list, but they're definitely my two that I've got in the edge as well.
Yeah.
I like where your head's at. Number 13, who's going to replace Tohu Harris this season, my bro?
I'm going to start with Aaron Clark.
I like it. I like it. I'm there with you, brother. I've got Aaron Clark as well. Why? So obviously you got Dylan Walker. You know, I've given out smokers of Vai Moanga, ex-formerly known as Sifakula. People have thrown up CHT. I've seen a lot of that discussion now. Obviously, I think Tony Kemp brought it up as well. Where your head's at with Aaron Clark? Obviously a newcomer to the club. Does that frighten you a little bit?
Nah, look, for me, it was either Walker or Clark. And for me, Clark's probably the more solider body. You know, you throw him out there in the brunt, get through the engine work, and Walker has shown the ability to be a bit of an X-factor player. You know, he shows a bit of footwork, a bit of short ball at the line, and it's perfect to bring, you know, Dylan Walker on 15 minutes out from halftime. You know, he can swing the momentum for you guys, and that's what I think I want to stick with. So it's not so much that Aaron Clark deserves it more than Walker or, you know, is a better player than Walker. It's more so what would fit the team better. And I think Walker's a better momentum player off the bench.
Yeah, I like that definitely either way. I can see either way working fairly well, but I like Dylan Walker as a cover that can cover multiple different positions or just be that strike man off the bench. He just brings so much energy and impact. And, you know, Aaron Clark, I'm really excited to see what we can bring out of him. At the Titans, they try to make him into a hooker. He ended up finding his way into like a front row position to that 13 position. And that's pretty much where his best abilities has been at. Hopefully we can get that and really add on top of that as well. I reckon that would be really solid.
You touched on barbers before this, mate. The Tigers having their barbers shut down. Well, that guy that told you on the Gold Coast that he cuts Aaron Clark's hair has now got to find a new barber because he was right about saying 100%. That Aaron Clark was going to you guys. So
how crazy is that, bro? Just a random guy we met on the side road or whatever, and he goes, yeah, he's definitely been talking, and that's crazy, right? That's so cool.
He called it. He called it.
Shout out to him. Next time we see him, I'll give him a big hug and I'll say thank you. Your service has been noted for getting Aaron Clark to the Warriors, but thank you, mate. But your bench, brother, give us your 4 bench players here and maybe your thoughts around why you pick certain players in that position.
Yes, so obviously I went Dylan Walker as my 14. Well, not obviously, actually. You know, you might be a little bit different. I went with Vai Moanga, Jackson Ford, and Jacob Laban.
Oh, I really like that bench. I believe that there is a thing that, not that we can't do too much wrong with our bench, because we can. Like I've seen, obviously, there's been a time where we carried Adam Pompey at that 17 jersey, and that didn't really work out. But I've got, at the moment, I do believe that Freddie Lussick and the way he trains the house down, that he'll probably win a jersey in there to start the season, whatever happens there. But I think Freddie Lussick at 14, Dylan Walker at 15, because I feel like to start off with, he's just going to be solely that rotation in 13 jersey. Vaimonga, who I believe is that big bolter for all our juniors that have come up. He's the next cab off the rank. I think he's going to get some good minutes this year. And Jackson Ford, I think Jackson Ford coming off the bench and being a longer minute sort of forward to get through the middle work there before Fisher Harris and Barnett come back on and finish out the game. I think that's probably the way I'm sitting there, but I'm definitely not against your bench there too. Getting Jacob Laban in there as well. Definitely a ton of potential. Another guy there, Leka Halasima. I'd love to see him on the bench as well. So definitely a good ability. Or Tane Tuapiki. We could put Tuapiki at 14 and ease him in there, but I'm not too sure.
Nah, you don't want to carry too many, back utility options on your bench, If you're already carrying Lussick and Walker, they're two guys that are probably smaller bodies that, are covering your hooker role, your lock role, and then you're only leaving two spots to, swap over your fronties. And I know Barnett will go from back row straight up to front, no dramas, but just in case.
You want a consistency, of Barnett coming off his front row, getting back on his front row, not worry about that too much. And I think, Jacob Laban's an amazing shout there too. And as I said, there's not too much wrong for people that can think, about the Warriors bench. I don't think there's too much wrong that you can really go there. A lot of depth. So that's our teams from top to bottom, brother. Obviously for me, CNK, RTS, Ali Leotoa, Berry, Dallin Martinez-Lesniak, Tamade Martin, Metcalf, Fisher Harris, Egan, Barnett, Nikore, Capewell, Clark, Lussick, Walker, Vaimonga, and Jackson Ford. And your one is...
You going to make me pronounce some of these names again, bro?
Oh, you're all good, bro. I'm pretty sure everyone noted what your team was during that. I won't put you through that pain again, but...
Thank you.
Before we get through our thoughts as well, before we move on... the honorable mentions to the side, just showing more of the depth that we have in the New Zealand Warriors, as we did last week with all the other sides. But Tane Tuapiki, a guy that's definitely pushing that fullback jersey. Leka Halasima, a ton of talent, young junior that we have. I'm really excited to see his future. Jacob Laban, put him right up there with him as well. He's incredible, a big body. I'm really excited for him as well. Tanner Boyd, Adam Pompey, Shino Harris-Tavita, Sam Healy, Tom Arlett, and Bunty Afoa. That's decent depth, and that's without going into players that a lot of people probably don't know either as well. So I wanted to be more realistic of these are NRL type players there that we have in our depth. And I think that rounds into my thoughts as well. As I think our depth's solid there. I think our biggest talking point coming this season is getting our halves working and getting them working well. And cohesion. I want to see cohesion from the side, not too many injuries, so we can run into the season and really build on what we're trying to lay the groundwork for the future. Would you agree?
Yeah. I think you guys will do that a lot more this year. As I said, the moves you guys have made with the guys retiring aren't bad moves. You're going to find guys working to want to be that next level, to take over those guys. And you'll find that the whole team will come together and try and do that as a collective instead of like one man putting his hand up. So exciting things.
100%, brother, 100%. And the other thing that I'm worried about, more of the negative side of thing, is if this does go bad with the halves, it can become a halves merry-go-round. I wanted to be realistic because I have said the same things, and we will say the same things about teams like Newcastle Knights. I think, there's other teams, obviously the Rabbitohs, which I don't think they're going to have that problem, but I wanted to say the same thing for us there too. It has the potential to become a halves merry-go-round. I don't want it to, and I know how bad that can really affect the side, but it has the ability to do so. So hopefully Webby gets it right. He said in the podcast he wants to run with the two. It will be known by the preseason, and they're going to run out with that, so boys know it. And those other guys that have missed out on those jerseys, they got a lot of work to do to get into that role, and I think that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be just put a guy in. If he doesn't work, pull him out, put another guy in, right? That's the way it should be.
Yeah, you don't want to do that because, we've seen CNK play a bit of 5'8" last year, but that was due to injuries. But, you could have that option getting thrown there, then RTS to fullback or Tane to fullback, and, it could get messy real quick. But, yeah, just stick with it. Don't chuck your crowns out of the playpen as soon as you something goes wrong, and just really iron it out. There's going to be creases. Just iron it out.
100%, brother, 100%. And last, before we jump over to the Brisbane Broncos, which is the next side here, obviously the next one off the ladder. I noted this at work with Brodie before, guys. You probably would notice that our honorable mentions, which more so like saying the depth that each side has, it grows more and more the further we go up the ladder. And it kind of shows why certain things happen in the NRL ladder and certain positions, why teams getting themselves into that position. Like we spoke about the West Tigers last week, and Like talking about edge depth, if they have any issue there in our edge, they're pretty much screwed. But, you know, coming into these sort of sides, they get better and better and better. And that's what, like, you know, we're sort of looking at here. A lot of good depth coming up in the future with these around these top 8 sort of sides.
Yeah, exactly right. And for my prediction on where you guys are going to finish,
yes,
is 9th.
You see it's just missing. I'm okay as long as we fight hard.
Yeah, it's not that I see you guys just missing. Well, it is that I see. Let's be frank. Yeah. It's more so that there's just 8 teams that I couldn't leave out to get you guys in. I just couldn't quite see it. And like you said, all it's going to take is a few bad games from one of these halves, and like a bad cycle like at Newcastle could start with the merry-go-round, or 1 or 2 injuries, and your depth might be lacking there a little bit. So that's what I'm thinking might hold you guys back.
Yeah, and like, you know, as I said, like, it's good to have a neutral fan out there too, guys, that can show us that sort of aspect as well. Like for me, I've got us 8. I have us in the 8th spot right now. I think that we have the ability to push into those like 6, 7. I don't see top 4 this year just yet. I just want to see the laying of the groundwork. If we get top 4 and all that, fucking oath I'll be cheering. But I think that at the moment we should look at a team that should be fighting for the 8 and grow off the back of that. I think we're building the groundworks for the future. Like looking at all the statistics last year, we led a lot of amazing statistics, but the main statistics we want to win is the win-loss column. And also we want to put points on the board, and we don't want to leak points. I think that obviously we're incredible run meterage team. We're an incredible possession side, but we got to convert that into points. And I think that's the next step we need to get to, and it may take a little bit of time before we do that. So that's why I have us an 8th spot just yet right now. And obviously we'll readjust that when we do our proper ladder prediction at the end of all this. But I can definitely see why you say 9th position, because last year definitely was a train wreck. Even though for me, I have the excuse of injuries, this and that. We've lost a couple of players as well. So I can see that argument as well.
Yeah, it's a steady hill to climb. And with so many changes, you know, of experienced guys, as much as I'm saying they're good moves, you guys could start the season very slow, and then it's very hard to catch up this day and age when you start the season slow. By the time you have, you know, Origin come around, and you guys never get impacted too much by Origin, but, you know, by the time you have that come around, and then all teams are firing on all cylinders already, you could get left behind if you have any hiccups early in that season, especially with your combinations. So hopefully there's not too much change, and the team just eases in and wins the first couple of games, because that will be just steady ground straight away.
100%. Fix our defense, first of all. Fix our attack, or just add on to our attack, and then see how it goes, and just build for the future. Get these juniors in there, learning up. But yeah, I think that's enough time on the New Zealand Warriors. Obviously, guys know I'm a New Zealand Warriors fan, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time on there. But I appreciate Brody giving us the other side of view, because obviously he's a Bulldogs fan and he understands it from that side of view, and he's going to tell us to our face what he thinks overall. But I expect us to be flying under the radar a little bit this year and surprise a couple of sides that a lot of people didn't think we were going to get over. But we'll see how we go. Preseason could change everything. Who knows?
You could be right, brother. Injuries can change anything at the drop of a hat as well.
Yeah, that's 100%. Moving on, brother, to a team a lot of people will have one of the biggest jumps maybe, and maybe that could be a discussion as well. But we got the Brisbane Broncos, and as I said I can't remember what team last week, but it's a massive gain list coming in for the Brisbane Broncos. We got Ben Hunt from the St. George Illawarra Dragons, and that is about it. Just Ben Hunt.
Yeah. I think it was the Titans. That was that team. The Titans didn't sign anyone last week.
Only RCG.
Yeah,
you're 100% correct.
Yeah,
you're 100% correct. And then moving on to the losses of the Brisbane Broncos. Again, not too many here. They had Ethan O'Neill, just more of a depth sort of player there, going to the Leah Leopards. Corey Oates retiring. Jordan Pereira retiring as well. Jordan Pereira must have been doing a whole lot of work in Queensland Cup as well. A good little player that used to be there. And Tristan Salah moving off to the St. Helens Saints, brother. Your thoughts on the squad depth? Where are you ranking this? What grade?
They're not losing anybody that was killing it for them, you know, and they're not gaining anybody to be killing it for them. So, you know, it's got to be a flat mark of a C. That's just a neutral mark, because, you know, but then you could look at it, the fact that they re-signed and kept a few players, you know, but signing Benny Hunt is good, especially knowing. Yeah, so especially the way that Adam Reynolds is. So I'm going to actually give them a B, maybe a B+, because that's very good for their depth. Because as soon as Reynolds went down last year, the guys looked lost. Their spine was lost. So someone like Benny Hunt to just chuck on that 7 jersey and pick up where Reynolds left off is actually dangerous.
Madge to all that as well. Could probably add that as well.
Well,
so
yeah, if you're going on the coach as well, it's probably recruiting, to be honest. They filled a spot that they need badly. So
yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go an B+. I think, Benny Hunt obviously coming to the club and not losing too many. Like if I told you they're losing Corey Oates, Jordan Pereira, and Tristan Saylor, you're probably going to be like, oh, well, they're pretty much the same team as last year anyway. So, but they've added Ben Hunt. So that's a big add, and they've added Madge, which is going to bring a really solid game plan. So, definitely a good little note there for the Brisbane Broncos. Moving over to the predicted team list for round 1, brother. Fullback is a given.
Yeah, fullback's a given, brother. Walshy, it's a absolute given.
Walshy, your thoughts on Walshy? He's so young. He comes with all this media attention because obviously he's the highlight reel, right? And we discussed this around Origin time and all that. I do think that people probably need to understand that, like, it's incredible for his age to do what he's doing. Like, he's fucking unbelievable for that age. But he still needs time, like as every junior does. And you said exactly the same thing. But obviously I still think he could be the Queensland #1, where you're like, maybe he needs a little bit of time away from that. But we both believe the same thing. He needs time. I think that the hype train helps him and hurts him in a little bit. Where do you want to see Walshy grow more so in this season here? What's the main areas that you're like, Walshy needs to get this right so he can take another step?
Just his consistency. I think that lacks. As soon as you get him rattled a little bit, he will drop his head. And, he is a very momentum. The highs are high, but the lows are low. So he's just got to find that medium balance. Don't take away from your flashiness, because that's what makes you great. But, you just got to limit that risk a little bit. High risk, high reward, but he's got to limit that risk a little bit. It's not an all or nothing all the time, which it kind of seems that way. And there's been rumors that it was that way, because Adam Reynolds always had to pull him in line saying, no, you idiot, we're not attacking on tackle 1 sort of shit is how he is as a player, which isn't a bad thing, because, you're going for the kill, but he just needs to maybe look at the game a bit more of a consistency and a grind out a little bit. He is your flashy player and you love that about him, but you just got to know when to just, Dylan Edwards it and be consistent.
Yeah.
So,
and all the stuff that you're saying is like, as we're saying, it just needs time, and that comes in time, right? Like, Billy Slater, when he first came to competition, he had the highlight of the State of Origin chip and chase where he was a winger and all that, and then end up with the fullback. He had a lot of moments where he was high risk, high reward. But later on in his career, when he kind of rounded everything out, he found that perfect balance, and that's what created him to become the best fullback of all time, or a lot of people would put him up there as the best fullback of all time, right? I think Walshy, this is exactly the same thing. I think that sometimes he can rely on that cutout pass a little bit too much. Maybe he needs to rely on his legs a little bit more to open up those options in the future. Yeah. Don't take away from your highlight reel, but just do them in moments where it can matter. Like, I think when you look at Walshy, he's probably on the opposite end of like a Latrell. Latrell is probably the end of like, he has moments. They don't come all the fucking time, and a lot of people want him to do more with that, right? Where Walshy has a lot of fucking moments, but he pushes it. Like, he pushes it all the time. There's a happy medium in between there where I think a lot of people want Walshy, and that's probably like a KP level type of thing, is where KP's starting to round out his game, right?
Yeah, I agree. And that comes, like you said, with maturity. And, I'm just glad that he stayed out of the media over the break. And, he hasn't been flagged for doing anything stupid or out there being a clown of himself. So I'm just glad that he stayed out of the media. Hopefully he's just focused on footy, and the rest will come with maturity. And, he's going to need to evolve his game now. He's going out there every week with a big target on his head, because he's such a high caliber player and such a threat. Defense is going to come after him. So he's got to work on his own game, on how he can get around that sort of stuff. Like, when they're doing this, I need to do this. Or, when that guy's like looking to jam me, I need to be the decoy, whatever it is. Like, you just need to evolve your game. Guys are going to figure you out. So, and he will, man. He's so young. As you said, he's doing so much.
Yeah, we all see the potential. We all probably believe he's going to reach that potential. It's just, it's going to take time. It's going to be teething issues, and it will become a time where he, goes upon that. But really, really excited to see what he's got. Moving over to our winger pairing, brother. Who have you got the wings for the Brisbane Broncos to start the season?
I'm going to go with Jesse Arthurs and Cobbo.
I'm exactly there with you, brother. What's your reasoning there? Obviously, the rumours around Selwyn Cobbo getting pushed back to the wing. That's all out there. But Jesse Arthurs to be the man on the opposite wing. I rate Jesse Arthurs so highly.
I rate Jesse Arthurs, man. He's such a quiet achiever. Just goes about his business, goes about his work. Hardly an error in him. It's just consistency. And for me, I didn't even know those rumours of Cobbo going back to the wing. I just never rated him on the center position. I preferred him on the wing the year before, and it worked for them the year before. I don't know why they changed it, and I dare say you'll probably see Madge put him back on the wing.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you, Bella. And I think that's a really good combination of like hard working out of the back end with Jesse Arthurs and that, and just a skill like, a strike player and Selwyn Cobbo that can pull something out of nothing. And I think that's something that Selwyn does need to learn to be more consistent, but definitely he's a player that a lot of people definitely watch out for when he's on that wing. Moving over to the center pairing, my brother. Who are you going in this area here?
Dean Mariner, Tony Staggs for me. Staggs was a bit of a shining light last year. He's probably had one of his better years, and he actually didn't get the raps he deserved. And then Mariner, man, he's got potential. He just needs time. So.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agreed. I won't took too much time on that, but yeah, Tony Staggs definitely had an underrated season last year, with Madge coming to the club and that, and him having a little bit of do, with New South Wales Blues, and he had spoken with Tony before. He rates him highly, so I'm expecting Tony to come out there and be used a lot more as well. But yeah, really, really excited to see what they got. And Dean Mariner, definitely a ton of potential for the future. Really, really excited to see how that goes. So this is round one prediction too, guys. I do want to remember this before we go to our halfback pairing. Our round one halfback pairings will be, or halves pairing will be?
It's going to be Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds.
100%. 100%.
Like, I think they're going to struggle to find a balance of who wants their hands on the ball more, because they're both such ball dominant halves. And stats have proven that in the last few years with try assist and stuff like that. And just watching general football of the Dragons and the Broncos is, they're the main mans with their hand on the ball. They do most of the kicking, all that sort of stuff. So they're going to need to find that balance. But other than that, it's two really good experienced halves.
100%. I feel like to make this work, I think Hunt would probably have to take the running role, which definitely suits him in that area as well. He can do that. I think Reynolds will have to be a distributor, but it's also good to have fall back on that. Benny Hunt can step up in those moments where maybe they're really crowding the kicker of Adam Reynolds. They go the opposite way. Benny Hunt's got a 40-20 in him. He's got good kicking game in him as well. So yeah, I see that's probably going to how it works out. And then when Ezra Mam comes back, probably push him to the 6 jersey, and then Benny Hunt will probably go to the 9. I think that's the rumors around anyway. So
yeah,
but that's round one anyway, guys. Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds are my two, as well as what is Brodie's two. Our front row pairing, brother, who have you got there?
For me, it's Payne Haas and Corey Jensen.
Yep, I see that. I'm seeing all the rumors coming out. Paddy Carrigan at number 10, so I went with that as well. I think they're going to be trained that way, and I think Paddy can do a great job in that number 10 role, having those two there, and have Corey Jensen come off the bench and be a leader off the bench right in that option there. Your more so of like, you're probably seeing it as, obviously without all the rumors going around, you're seeing it as that option. Why Corey Jensen and Payne Haas? You just believe that the front row pairing is probably a little bit solid?
Yeah, Payne Haas speaks for himself. And then Corey Jensen, man, like, he was so underrated last year, I believed. It's funny when you start betting on things, like I was betting on like player groups to get the most tackles on Sportsbet, and Corey Jensen would be paying $7, but you'd put him on, man, and he'd get like 43 tackles. And it's like, he just quietly goes about his work, and he gets through 2 very good stints. So for me, that's why I'm starting him up front.
I love it, bro. I do love it. As I said, if the rumors weren't going around there, I probably would be swaying towards that sort of pairing as well. I just seen all the rumors going around that, and I can see that being a pairing that really works with Paddy Carrigan and that. Bring Hetherington in that 13. We'll talk about that more a little bit later on. But Corey Jensen being like, sometimes the Broncos did lose that when Payne Haas and that comes off, comes to the bench, and having Corey Jensen come on and being that big leader that can fill out those minutes in the middle, I reckon he'd do a good job there as well. But I totally agree. I think he's been really underrated, and gets for a ton of work, man. Just a hardworking front rower.
Yeah, I do like your thought process on that, actually. I really do. I see that.
Because, like, yeah, Paddy's best areas, right? Like, you know, even though he's great 13, right? But he's a run first 13, gets through a ton of work. And if they had Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan in the middle being those two directors to start out the game, and then whatever happens with the interchange, they can really carry on that momentum instead of having that stunting momentum when obviously Kobe Hetherington has to come on and be a like front rower. Like, yeah, it gets a bit janky.
Yeah, yep, that's fair. But, you know, they got two big guys they should be using on the bench. They should be able to do that. So we'll get to that.
Exactly. We'll get to that. I'm excited to talk about that too. Edge back. Oh, actually, number 9, brother. Who do you think is going to be the 9 to start the season for the Brisbane Broncos?
For me, I would be starting with Blake Mozer. I don't know. Yep. You know, they're having a bit of a merry-go-round with, I think they've got 5 hookers in their top 30 now, Brisbane, and that's including Ben Hunt. So, but for me, Blake Mozer, man, the kid is a talent.
Mm-hmm. Right there with you, bro. I've got Blake Mozer to start the season. And then when Benny Hunt obviously comes with Ezra Mam, he's going to take over that slot. But I'm really high on Mozer. I've seen a lot of his footy, especially coming through the grades. He's paired up with Ben Takota. They were one of the best 1-2 punch sort of combinations coming up through the grades with the juniors as well. So really, really excited to see Mozer on the big stage. And he definitely showed ability when he played there last year towards the end of the season. So that's my definite option there too. Edge back rollers, brother.
I went with Brendan Pickora and Jordan Ricky.
Yeah, exactly the same with you, bro. Brendan Pickora and Jordan Ricky, both those guys, a ton of potential. Obviously, Jordan Ricky been in the league for a lot longer. Apparently, seeing all the photos, seeing him come back to preseason, he's looking like he's going to be fit and ready to go this year. And hopefully, Madge can get the best out of him, right? Because he's definitely been a player that a lot of people look at and go, he's got something, but he's just like, he's missing something as well, right?
Are you talking about Ricky or Pickora?
Ricky, Jordan Ricky.
Yeah, look, if I was that size, fuck me dead. Like, honestly, he plays sometimes too soft. You know, you can see where he does try hard. He really did try hard in that Kiwis game. And that was probably the best I've seen him play in a long time, just for effort and attitude-wise. But other than that, he's been lacking that for the last 2 years. And I'm just like, dude, you could kill people if you wanted to. Imagine him if he had, like, you know, Olakuatu's attitude. Fuck that. You would not want to run at him. You would not want to run anywhere near him. But you just, I don't see it.
Yeah. That's the thing is, like, hopefully Madge's hard edge really gets into him there because he's got the ability, he's got the skill set there. And you could probably say very similar things with Piakota, but the thing with Piakota is so early into his first grade career as well, and injuries held him back. When we saw him in there consistently in that, and when we saw him through the grades and that, he's got a ton of potential as well. Really good line running edge back rower. He's got silky hands that we haven't really seen in the NRL too much yet, but when he gets bigger and older and more experienced, you'll probably see that come out in his game a little bit more. But those two guys, as I said before, if Madge can get his hands on him and get the little bit, like, squeeze the juice out of him, get him into that new level, I think the Broncos have got a 2 really good edge back rower pairing there of Piakota and Ricky.
I couldn't agree more, especially if this is the half pairing you do run with for the straight 6 weeks. Those back rows are going to learn something really quick from these 2 vet halves. They're going to be screaming at them where they want them. They're going to be screaming at them to work in defense, and they're going to be letting them know it if they're not in the right position to attack. So they're going to learn a lot just from those 2 halves alone. So expect pretty good years out of both those guys, I do believe.
100%. And Rugby, my brother, we can see you in the chat, my man. He said, can he see us in the chat? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can see the chat, brother. So make sure you keep chatting away, guys. I'm definitely looking at all your chats. You guys are absolutely amazing, doing amazing work in there, and it's good to see. Moving over to the 13 jersey, you'd probably have Paddy Carrigan there because you had Jensen in the front row pairing, right?
Yeah, Brody. Yeah.
So I went Kobe Hetherington to fill in that role if Paddy Carrigan goes in the front row pairing. Your thoughts on that overall? I think, you know, Kobe's got a little bit of potential there. Defensively, he's really, really solid. It's definitely just being the link man is probably the issue there, maybe.
Look, these days, man, lock is another front rower. It's as simple as that. So it doesn't matter if you put Paddy up front or not. Yeah, I just like the Broncos to really start the games because they do blow teams away very quickly, and can if they don't start well. They're a team that doesn't like to come from behind, so that's why I decided to go with Jensen, Haas, and Carrigan. And they could probably get that bit of a stretch to not have to worry too much about a little dip in momentum. And Carrigan plays big minutes anyway, so that's why I went with Carrigan still at lock. And yeah, but I think. What you said is also great to have Jensen come off that bench and really up the ante again. But I've got other guys that I'm hoping will do that for the Broncos. Well, not really, because I don't give a fuck where the Broncos finish, but two big guys that should do it. So
I love it. I love the passion that comes out when we talk about the Broncos with Brody on this channel. Before we move over to the bench pairing as well, I see Rugby obviously jumping back in the chat, guys. I just want to let him know, obviously, he did ask a question where did he get the NRL cards from. That was on a previous video ages ago, whatever. But go onto the internet, look up NRL Elite 2024 trading cards. You can get the packs in that. A lot of them have been sold out now too. So I really do. I'm sorry if you can't find them anywhere. I think New Zealand do struggle with their trading card sort of stuff from what I've heard anyway. So for me, I've got a card collector that I go to that gets these packs in. So yeah, that's really how I go about my business. But there'll be more cards coming to the channel in the future as well when the NRL trading cards come back out. I've been meaning to get back into that as well. I just want to get my funds back up as well because that is a very expensive little hobby going on there. Shout out to GI in the back there too. Still a $300-$400 card just sitting there. So
I'll post up Ash's address after this and
don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Anyway, moving on to the bench. Brother, who have you got on the bench? Obviously, you would have Kobe Hetherington on the bench, but for me in the starting role. But who else would you have on the bench?
So for round one, it's going to be Corey Pakes until, Ben Hunt goes into that hooker role when Mam's back, and then Blake Moser to the bench.
Yep.
So it's Corey Pakes, Kobe Hetherington, Xavier Willison, and Ben Tekora.
Yep. And for me, I'm going to go with this as with all the rumors and stuff of Corey Pakes, that's only just come out for me. But from before that, I went with Billy Walters because I believe he can cover many positions off the bench there. Corey Jensen, Xavier Willison, and Ben Tekora as well. I think, with Willison, Ben Tekora, two big bodies off the bench, both got amazing potential. I'm so excited to see the more growth that they have in their game. Xavier Willison's a big one for everyone. I think everyone's really watching out for him. He's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, just really needs to find that potential, and somebody like Madge will bring it out of him, man, for sure.
100%, brother. With the Corey Pakes news and all that, that's only just come out as well. Would you obviously said before all this, yeah, you'd have Corey Pakes there as well. Like Walters, do you see Walters kind of getting pushed to the side now, like pushed out?
I do. I think the Broncos should part ways with Billy Walters.
Yeah. It's crazy the fall from grace in a way from him because I actually started to fall in love with Billy Walters' style of play, obviously beating us in a preliminary final, and he was cutting us to bits there in that number 9 jersey, and I started to see ability there. But then there was parts of the season where I can understand the frustrations of Billy Walters where he kind of overcalls his halves at times. He takes the wrong decision at times. I think that if he takes a step back in his game, he can get back into an NRL squad and all that. But yeah, from all the news coming out, Corey Pakes is a big yes, and I've heard that Moses is a big yes. So that's everything saying. Looks like Billy Walters may be looking for another club, maybe, or playing Q Cup.
Parramatta.
Could be a good option, actually. Could be a fairly good option. Actually, how would you feel about if you're a Parramatta fan getting Billy Walters? Where would the excitement be for you?
Meh.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's ability there, but yeah, I like the signing. I feel like it's a good signing probably with Brendan Hansen up, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see whatever happens with Billy Walters in the future. We'll keep on track with that, yeah, Brody?
Yeah, nah.
Let's continue to follow Billy Walters' career after rugby league, yeah?
I'll follow him on Instagram right now.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate ya. Keep us the tabs, yeah? The honourable mentions here for the Brisbane Broncos, guys. Obviously, Ezra Mam, we got him obviously not in the round 1 discussion due to all that, but he's an honourable mention there. Kobe Black, obviously everyone remembers Kobe Black. Everyone's heard about him, the new number 7 for the Brisbane Broncos for the upcoming future. Whether he gets an opportunity at any time this year, who knows? Obviously, Benny Hunt and all that probably stops that from happening, but it's probably be good for him because he's still fairly young. Fletcher Baker's there. Martin Tapal is still in the club, and Corey Pakes, I had him as an honourable mention as well. So a little bit of depth there. They've got other players that have a lot of excitement around them, like Israel Leota, a really good outside back for the Brisbane Broncos. They got Jack Jozeski, as you saw last year, Deloise Hoyter, and Jaden Hunt, and Tyson Smoothie is another player that a lot of people will be talking about as well. Another hooker. Another one. Brother, your thoughts on the squad? When you look at the squad top to bottom, what are you thinking? Where's their positives, negatives, and maybe your prediction?
Tough. There's not too many negatives in that starting 13, and then if Madge can get the best out of that bench, dangerous. That's all I can say is dangerous. And that's why they're going to be a top 4 finish for me. I'm going to put them in at 4th.
Yeah, I'm totally there with you, bro. I've got them currently in my top 4 range. Yeah, I think they're going to be a really solid team this year. I think Madge is going to really get the most out of the squad for the first couple of years. Whether he drains on them later on in their career, who knows? But they probably need a little bit of a guy to go in there, be the drill sergeant, get into him, and get him up and playing. And I think he'll be a coach that they definitely love. The definite questions around the squad is who will lock down that hooker role. There is a merry-go-round sort of situation going on there. That sometimes can become an issue. With a hooker, it's like it doesn't really affect just as much as a halfback, but still is with a spine player, right? Like it has the ability to do something there. And consistency is definitely the big question. Is Madge the answer to consistency?
I think so, because he builds on hard work. So, yeah.
And I think that's where we really do have them. They have the ability. They just need to have the direction. And I think finally they may have the direction to a top 4 finish.
I completely agree.
All right, guys, moving on to the next team that was on the ladder. And that was the St. George Illawarra Dragons. A lot of movement going on with the Dragons this season. Coming in 2025, their gains. They have Damien Cook from the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Clint Gufferson from the Parramatta Eels, Valentine Holmes from the North Queensland Cowboys, Lockie Ilias from the Sydney Roosters. If I told you that list about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I reckon Dragons fans would be going fucking mental.
You would be betting on this.
Yeah, but there's a conversation now, right? They are getting a little bit long in the tooth, certain these players, and we'll talk about that more in the future. Their losses coming to the season. Jack Bird leaves the club to the West Tigers. Max Fiengai goes to the Dolphins. Benny Hunt goes to the Brisbane Broncos. Zach Lomax goes to the Parramatta Eels. Jesse Marshke, a guy that I actually really enjoyed a little bit. He goes back to the North Sydney Bears where he came from before. Dan Russell goes over to England at Warrington Wolves. Tamale, definitely a highly rated rookie. A lot of Supercoach fans should be looking out for him because I've heard a lot of rumors of him training on the wing in place of Jordan Rapana, obviously retiring, at the Canberra Raiders. Solid watch, a ton of speed, a ton of tackle breaking ability. Hasn't really tasted too much first grade yet, so watch out for that. Alec Tuamavake goes to the Lee Leopards, and Paul Turner gets released to absolutely nobody. Warriors fans obviously remember Paul Turner. He was a big part of our junior depth. I'm going to say probably about 6-7 years ago now. But yeah, Paulie Turner is now on the open market. With saying all that, brother, your thoughts on their gains and losses? What grade would you give them there?
Oh, look, losing Ben Hunt and Zach Lomax are big, but they've also signed some good guys. Yes, they're a bit older, but, they might be a bit more what their club is looking for. A bit of a turn of the tide. I'm going to go with a C, just a basic, player for player sort of thing. I really liked signing Lockie Ilias. I think he had a lot to offer the Rabbits, but got hard done by there. So I think he's going to build himself a nice little home there at the Dragons. So I really like that signing, but that's my personal opinion. I'm going to run a C.
Yep. I'm right there with you. I believe that for me, and it adds into my thoughts, I think that some of the signings are a little bit sideways in the fact of like they've lost 2 big key members of their side that were such a key member to their success last year, other than Fleno, obviously, like Shane Flanagan coming to the club, the coach, obviously. So, losing Ben Hunt, led try assist last year, and then losing Zach Lomax, who's probably was one of the biggest stories of last season, right? And then bringing in, obviously they got Gutho, Valentine Holmes, Damien Cook. Like, it feels sideways a little bit to me, but there could be positives to it as well. Valentine Holmes for me could be a good positive there too. and definitely experience that they bring to the club. Lockie Ilias is definitely the one a lot of people are definitely watching. He has the ability to be a great halfback in the future. Whether the Dragons can get that out of him is definitely going to be a talking point. But for me, I'm going to go a C. Yeah, a C. Straight C, because I believe it's very sideways for me. I don't know. For me, it just feels sideways.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, like you said, losing Lomax could be massive, but, you know, gaining Holmes could be massive. It just depends what they still have to offer. But on paper, as you said, this 5 years ago, you'd get an absolutely stiff. If you're a Dragon spotter, you know, you'd be fucking
crazy,
get the biggest stiffy. So, yeah, like, I don't know. But now, you know, they could still have a lot to offer, or they could teach the up and coming ones coming through. So, yeah.
And that's the big thing, bro. Moving over to our team list, we're going to be talking about this guy to start with, because I think that, as you said, there is positives there. And from the offseason, this guy has been training the house down and becoming a leader of the squad. It's probably what they need, actually. Your fullback for the St. George Illawarra Dragons?
Yeah, Clint Gutho.
Yeah. 100%.
Just hard work. Hard work. Yep. You know, will lead at all moments on the field. You know, as much as he bitches to the ref, he's leading. He's doing whatever he can for his team to win. So, Gutho for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Right there with you, bro. And that's, as you said, like, there is positives to this as well. It's like, I think that with Benny Hunt leaving, obviously he had like indiscretions with the board and that. He was their leader, but there's moments obviously him wanting out, and that definitely like affects leadership in a way. Like, a players are definitely looking up to a guy that doesn't want to be there. Now they got Gutho at the club. He's already came out. He wants to be a leader. Let him up the hill. You know, all their training sessions. I think that's a good thing for them and a plus for them. And when Flano needs to say something to the group, Gutho will amplify whatever he says out there. So that's a big plus for the Dragons this year. Moving on to our wingers, brother. Who have you got for the wings?
Yeah, I'm going to chuck Sloan on a wing with Tuipulotu.
Tuipulotu?
That's the one.
That's the man. Yeah, Tuipulotu and Sloaney. You think, obviously, Sloaney losing that fullback jersey, going to the wing. Do you reckon they'll suit Sloaney a little bit more at the moment in this early stage of his career, or do you reckon that hampers him maybe a little bit as well?
Nah, I think as long as he's still getting that NRL experience, it's good on the wing or at fullback. You know, you see the same sort of thing with Xavier Savage over at Canberra. So take it in your stride and just build from it. And
Christian Tuipulotu, a hard-running edge-back, a hard-running winger out there too. Loves the media as well. I definitely like having him on the wing. He's a very consistent player out there. He's got a lot of chirp to him. Seeing in that Dragons game last year where he's scoring tries and just giving it to the fans, I like that. I like that.
So you went the same?
I went exactly the same, my brother. Exactly the same. Moving on to the centres, my bro. Who have you got in the centres?
Yeah, probably the same again. Sully, Holmes.
Yeah, exactly right, brother. Exactly right. What do you think? Obviously, Valentine Holmes coming to the club. How do I word it? Like, obviously losing Zach Lomax. Obviously, Zach Lomax didn't play centre last year, but killed it on the wing, was the centre at the club and that. Filling him in with Valentine Holmes, where do you sit on that? Like, do you think that he'd be positive signing there, or do you reckon he'd just be a player that, like, I don't know, just be there for the Dragons, right? Like,
look, Holmes will be solid, man. He's still in contention for a Queensland jersey again. You know, he won't want to drop off that pecking order. He'll want to prove that he's still got stuff to offer. So you'll still get the best out of Holmes, man. You really will.
100%. That's good to hear, brother. And Moses Sully in for another good season there. A solid centre. And hopefully, like I think Timmy Williams, a content creator, guys, a super coach content creator, he did point it out as well from listening to him. Losing Benny Hunt may be the best thing for Moses Sully because they were right side reliant with Benny Hunt there. It just everything went through Benny Hunt. They loved obviously getting down that side. Now being more of a balanced sort of spine, does this help Moses Sully getting the ball a little bit earlier? Having this attacking ability because he's a big body that moves so well. And defensively, he's a solid member as well.
I mean, it should, bro. Like, I would be going to Sully if he was my center every day.
He's a beast, man. I can't wait to see more out of Moses Sully, and hopefully the Dragons don't ruin another player like this. But, you know, he's got a ton of potential, right?
100%. He's just got to stay fit and realize how big he is.
Yeah, 100%, brother, 100%. Moving over to the halves. Who have you got the halves for the St. George Illawarra Dragons, brother?
Yeah, probably pretty straightforward again. Flano and Lockie Ilias.
Agreed, bro. And 6 and 7, whether like obviously Jersey you care about that, you'd have Ilias at the 7 and Flanagan
Yeah.
as the 6.
Yeah.
That's the way I went as well. I went very similar. Do you think Lockie Ilias will fulfill this potential of his at the Dragons, or do you believe this is a stepping stone to him getting to another club?
Nah, I think he will. I think he'll be a guy that the Dragons will look to build around in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. He's definitely got a potential, and I'm with you. I think that he was kind of the scapegoat for the Rabbitohs last year when it wasn't his fault. Like, really, like, he was young. He did have mistakes at times, but I thought there was solid moments out of him too. Got a decent kicking game under him and that. He just needs confidence, and he's young, bro. Like, young halves get eaten alive in this game.
They do, man. They really do. It's like we keep mentioning it. They find their peak around that 28 mark.
Yeah, so he's still got a little bit to go, but I'm really excited to see that halves pairing in the future. May not be absolutely amazing, gangbusters and that, but hopefully it's a step to the right direction for the Dragons to fill out that half role in the future overall. Moving over to the front row pairing. So I have Francis Molo in this front row pairing at the moment with all the rumors of him leaving. I'm just going to leave it as is right now until we find out anymore. But your front row pairing, first of all?
I went with Blake Laurie and Jack DeBellin.
Blake Laurie, yeah, fair. Are you worried with the whole last year not being in the pecking order at all? Not finding a spot in that role? Nah,
I feel like he, Blake Laurie is a bit of a hard nose, on and off the field by the looks of it. I dare say he would have trained hard over the break, and I think we'll see him starting. Yep,
I do love that. For me, I got Jack DeBellin and Francis Molo, as I just touched on before. Francis Molo, but Jack DeBellin, definitely getting back into really good form at the moment. And for Supercoach fans out there, I wouldn't say he's a must-have or anything like that, or not even like a big notable name out there, but he gives you some really good options there around State of Origin times. At times, he doesn't really usually get picked for State of Origin anymore, and he's a solid contributor. So get excited for Jack DeBellin season to season. Who is your number 9 to start the season? This is a great discussion here.
It's Damien Cook, brother.
Yep, Damien Cook starts for you.
Yeah.
We will talk about Jacob Little possibly more. I may as well touch on him now. Jacob Little, when he comes on, where do you see Cookie playing? Do you see Cookie coming off on the bench, or do you see him? A lot of people have been rumoring him going to a 13 role.
I think it's old Cookie to go hard and blow himself and look to run and then come off. Yeah. At least in the early parts of the season as well.
Yeah. And Jacob Little has got a ton of potential. We will touch on him very, very shortly. Edge back rollers, brother, who have you got?
It's pretty straightforward, brother. Sua and Leilua.
Yeah, exactly the same as me, bro. We've pretty much gone very, very similar here. The Dragons are one of those teams where I don't think their depth's just there yet. So that team's pretty solid, like top to bottom there. But agreed. Luch is definitely in search for a really big season as well. He's got all the potential in the world, but at times he does go missing. Jaden Sewer coming off a great season last year, getting to the Maroons camp and all that. I want to see more growth out of him. Obviously, it'll hurt him a little bit not having Benny Hunt inside of him as well these days, but he'll be a good hitman for Lockie Ilias if Lockie Ilias would be paired up with him on that side. So excited for that.
I just hope he bounces back from tanking that little bit there after that Origin period. And he did have still a solid back end last few games of the season. So hopefully he grows on that and we see him back in a Queensland jersey.
Yeah, 100%, brother. I think he's got a lot of ability and I'm really excited for the season for him. You're 13. Who have you got in number 13?
I went with Tommy Eisenhuth.
Same. I thought we were going to be a little bit different there, but yeah, I think Tommy Eisenhuth did really well last year. There was moments last year. There was one game, I think it was against you guys, where he had an absolute shocker.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's a consistent player that just gets through his work, and I think he's the best they have there at the moment.
Yeah, that Melbourne mentality. And as you said, you could potentially, push him up front and bring Jacob Little into a lock forward role.
Another option for me I was thinking of is Luciano Leilua getting to that 13 jersey, which he has done before, and having Raymond Fatal and Mariner in the edge. We'll probably talk about Raymond a little bit further later on, but I think Tommy Eisenhuth does enough of a job there, tackle-wise, just defensively. He just works hard, so I'd love to have him out there to start the game. Moving on to the bench, my brother. What is your 14 to 17?
Yeah, so I went with Jacob Little. Obviously, for backup hooker role, he moved into lock there, play that ball playing type lock. And then I went Francis Molo, Raymond Fatala-Marana, and Toby Couchman.
Pretty much very similar to, well, I think it's exactly the same. I went Jacob Little, Toby Couchman, Raymond Fatala-Marana, and Jaime Sele. I think Jaime Sele is for a guy that's trying to be pushing up for that squad. There's a couple of names there.
So you're leaving out Blake Lawrie altogether?
Yeah. I don't know what the situation there is with Fleno, but it just seems like he's just not in his discussions at all. I think he has the ability to push to be in the Fleno squad, but like historically, Fleno's been a really hard-nosed sort of coach to be like, if I don't want you, I don't want you. I hope that's not the case. Hopefully it probably is an injury and I'm reading that wrong. But yeah, like if it wasn't that sort of way, I don't know who I'd leave out. Probably Francis Molo now, right? Did you have Francis Molo in there before?
Yeah, I have him on the bench. Yeah.
You had him on the bench, yeah. So who were you missing out of that one then? Jaime Sele, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably the more discussion then too. Yeah. I probably see the younger age of Jaime Sele and probably more potential there in that area.
Yeah.
But you're probably going with the more of a consistent, hard-nosed prop of a Blake Lawrie that's going to get through a lot of defensive work, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Notable mentions for all these guys here. Michael Molo, obviously Francis Molo's brother. Blake Lawrie for me, as we just touched on just then. Blake Lawrie is definitely a good option. Matthew Faingai, he could definitely be a winger option there. Christian Tuipulotu, whatever's the option there. I think Matthew's got a ton of potential. Viliami Fafita, Ryan Couchman, which is the brother to Toby Couchman. And a big little smoky little player, a junior that's coming through the grade, got a ton of hype under him. Loco Pacifici Donga. He's a really solid big body front rower. Been killing it all the junior grades and stuff. I do think you're going to see him in the future and could be a smoky for a good player to have in your super coach later on in the year. He's bottom dollar. So keep an eye out for him.
I'll be sure to. Hopefully we can see him get a crack.
Hopefully, definitely a lot of upside there, and the Dragons may need a little bit of that youthful, spark there, having them there. So, and also very famously known. Have you seen that? Thanks Helen, with what's his name? Fuck it, your boy Broncos Sherry. Yeah. She has a whole series, bro, of Jaime Sele and Loco. So it's hilarious. Yeah, that big boy.
Yeah, he is a big boy.
He's a big boy, my bro. Thoughts on the squad overall, my bro? What's your positives and negatives and your expectation?
They got a lot of experience, but I don't know how they play together. It's a very weird mix, and I don't know. I just don't know if they're going to struggle. I think they will still struggle. There's a lot of good talent there, but I still see them leagues behind other teams. So they're going to be a very curious one, very, very curious one. And I think we'll be able to find out what the Dragons are made of in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the competition.
Yeah. They're very much a side that's like so hard to predict, as in the fact of like every time people predict them to be wooden spoon threats or just in the wooden spoon, they seem to go a little bit better than that, but they're never a side that everyone looks at and goes, they can really like punish the top 8. Even this year they did, like they had moments and all that, but they're still sort of a side that kind of like, I can't put in a top 8 for me, but like, I don't feel like, I feel kind of like a bit stink putting them in bottom 4 or like, bottom 2 or anything like that, right? I think they're in that middle ground of like probably 15, 16, 17 up to, you know what I mean? Like they just sit there. They just stay to sit there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ash, but 16th is the bottom 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, yeah, 16, 17, right? So I'll probably say 15 upwards, right? 15 upwards. Good old kombucha math, baby. Shout out Braden Trindle.
No, look, for me, I had to put them at 16th.
You put them 16 second last?
Yeah, only because I see more upside to other teams in front of them.
Yeah. So I think the competitiveness will hold him out of that. And as I said, like I think that 15, like I'm not putting them too far away from where you're sitting them, right? Like I'm going like 15 to 12. I think they're really in that range. I think I can see them having a hard edge where they like have games that they struggled a bit. They beat teams, and then they have games where they played against you guys and get blown off the park. Like You know what I mean? And I think Flano's still got to take time to build that consistency. My worries with the squad is like Lockie, Ilias, and Flano. It's good to see Ilias get a spot again, but Flano for me had a decent year at 6 there, but like, is he really a 6? I don't know. And like that combination of those two, I want to see it first, see whatever happens there. I feel like that can be a sore point. As you said, a lot of experience, which is a positive, but like it sometimes with some injury troubles and that, like a lot of their junior depths that are coming through, even though I've named a couple there, that it probably will like struggle a little bit in that period as well. And as I said to you before, a lot of their moves just seem very sideways for me. So I just see them sitting where they really are. So I don't know. Yeah.
I just think there'll be a couple other teams that improve. Like, well, you guys and the Broncos finished under them last year. So straight away, I've got you guys jumping them, which slides them down.
Yeah. And there's like teams that are really tough to predict. There's like the Titans, right? Like I think the Titans are definitely a better side than what they look on, like, you know, but like the Titans always seem to fail in a way. So like, you know, they fall apart. I agree with you, bro. Like it just seems like every time I put them in a bottom 4, a bottom wooden spoon or a bottom 2 or whatever like that, they just seem to get into like they did last year of like, oh yeah, we fought for the 8. I was like, where did that come from? A lot of that does come down for Flanagan, but I don't know. They could go anywhere really. Anywhere but the top 8 for me.
Well, that's pretty safe.
Anything more on the Dragons before we move on, brother?
Nah, brother. Nah.
Beautiful. And lucky last, guys, before we go, we got the Dolphins of 2025. The 3rd year now of the Redcliffe Dolphins, or the Dolphins is what they want to be called these days, which is such a silly little discussion.
Yeah, because they're not in Redcliffe.
No, they want to be known for everyone as just the Dolphins. That's and it sucks for hashtags too on YouTube and stuff to put on the Dolphins, because you'll probably be like looking at rugby league stuff and then you'd be looking at just dolphins out in the middle of the sea and stuff. So great work, guys. Great work. National Geographic, great work. But moving on anyway, 2025 player movements, their gains for 2025. They got Max Fengai from the St. George Illawarra Dragons, Finnair Fuyaki from the Cowboys, Daniel Saifidi from the Newcastle Knights, and Junior Tupou from the West Tigers. Their losses, pretty decent little losses here. Ewan Aiken to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Jesse Bromwich retires. Lockie Hubner to the South Sydney Rabbitohs, even though he was a Capra. But he was probably under that umbrella for the Dolphins, maybe. Edric Lee retires as well. Anthony Milford to South Logan Magpies, so he's a Q-Cup player now. Tessie New over to the Super League. Tavita Pengai Jr. over to Catalans as well in the Super League. And Vance Tafade, if you've seen any of the highlights out there, he's in Japanese rugby right now, and he is killing it. So good to see him go out there and kill it. It does suck to lose a talent like that, but just really the way it all goes. But your thoughts overall on the movements here, bro? Where's your grade?
Yeah, look, a lot of experience lost. I hate that they lost Valance, but you know, signed Saifidi, who once played Origin. Other than that, didn't really sign anybody great. So it's got to be a negative mark for me. So I'm going to go with D, especially if you consider Bennett leaving.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think that's a massive one to really note down. I went a C- or a C. I was going around that area. I like Finnair Fuyaki a lot, and that's just more of a potential thing for me.
Yeah.
And that's still yet to play out. Saifidi, I think, is a good signing, but like, I don't think he's going to blow everyone's sock off either. Like, you know, it reminds me of RCG with the Titans, but I think RCG's experience will help the Titans, where like Daniel Saifidi, he still just seems like he's got experience, but he still seems like a young, I don't know, in the middle right now, right?
Yeah.
I just don't know where I go with him at the moment. Junior Tupou for me gives me a little bit of excitement, but the big loss is Wayne Bennett. Yeah. Wayne Bennett's a big one, but I'm excited to see what Junior Tupou brings this year too, and we might discuss about him more a little bit later on. But let's go to the 1 to 17, my brother. Who's your number 1?
It's the Hammer, bro.
Yeah, go get the toolbox, get the hammer out. He is going to be playing number 1 for the Dolphins this year. We had a little bit of discussion at work. Trey Fuller fully fit. You would keep the hammer at fullback?
I'm keeping the hammer at fullback because he bagged Jamie Chapman. As simple as that.
Shout out. Well
But
done, my brother.
but the
Well
hammer
done.
at fullback is a must for me. As exciting as Trey Fuller is, you know, the Dolphins back line for me is pretty rock solid, pretty great team. I don't want to be moving the hammer to the centers and having to bring Trey Fuller in. So
yeah. For me, it's like I'd love to bring Trey Fuller in and have Herbie in the centers because I not Herbie, Hammer into the centers. It's just like I don't know. It just like it gives a little bit of extra spice to that back line for me. But again, like maybe you shouldn't be moving a player like that doesn't really need to be moved overall. I just think I believe in Trey Fuller's ability. I don't know what he looks like coming back off the injury and all that sort of stuff now. But that little period where they played him at fullback there, he had a lot of great ability. He's just got that real natural movement, right? It's something happens like around him. And with the hammer on the centers, we know defensively he can hold down there. We know he can still have his big moments there. And the hammer's always been known as a guy that's not going to be the big tirelessly working fullback that's going to get through a ton of work, where Trey Fuller probably would do more so. And he's going to have moments still at the center. That was my only thing there. But you're 100% right there too. Is like he's probably going to have more of the moments in certain positions at fullback, right? You're going to get him in around the ball a little bit more. Those moments probably happen just a little bit more than what it would at center.
100%. And, you know, I like your thinking as well to get them both into that team, but I just couldn't see somebody else missing out. That's all.
Yeah. And we're saying that. Let's move on to the wingers. We got for me, we got Jack Bostock and Jermaine Asako. What do you got?
Same, brother. Exact same. You know, pretty clear cut.
Yeah, Jermaine Asako, everyone knows he's in really fine form at the moment. Didn't have his greatest year last year, but still a solid year. I think he still finished like top 3 for point scoring overall as well. Still scoring tries, still kicking goals. Jack Bostock, we're all watching again to see what more he can have in him. He's got a ton of potential, big body on the wing. You excited to see back Jack Bostock this season?
Yeah, see if he backs up that season he had last year. Really good breakout season. So excited. Big body, hard worker. Such a young kid too.
100%. I am hearing a little bit that he's getting moved to a center role. I don't know if I believe that too much. For me, I've got him at the wing at the moment, but we'll see how that goes. While talking about the centers, who are your 2 centers, my brother?
I'm going to go with Jake Averillo and Herbie Farmworth. And as much as, you know, Junior Tupou deserves a spot because he bagged Jess Surges, but I can't fit him in. So
no, that's Tommy Talau that bagged Jess
never mind.
Surges.
Then he can be sacked. He
can be sacked. I love that. Nah, for me, bro, I'd love to see Junior Tupou get a spot around about there as well. But I think that I still love Jake Alvarilla. I still think that he has ability around NRL squad, whether that's center, whether that's 6, whatever's going on there. But at the moment, center seems like he's better positioned just now. I think that and we don't really need to talk about Herbie too much. Like Herbie's Herbie. He's a freak, bro. Fuck, he's so good, bro. And how the Broncos lost that, man. They've definitely, well, you know, it's just, it's crazy.
Clearly regretted it after last season.
What a freak, bro. What an absolute freak. Halves pairing for the Dolphins this year, my brother. Who have you got?
I'm going to start the season off with Katoa and O'Sullivan.
Yeah, we spoke about this at work too. I've got Isaiah Katoa and Cody Nicolima. Sean O'Sullivan knocking out that 6 role, or is he going to be a number 7 and 7 role, and Katoa's going to be more of the 6?
Yeah.
You don't want to give that 7 role just to Katoa just yet?
I don't think it makes a difference in all honesty.
Okay.
But Katoa's kicking game was awful in that Samoan team. Absolutely awful. So O'Sullivan has a much better kicking game. He can control. And that's why I picked him over Nikorima pretty much. And, you know, he had an injury-riddled season last year. As much as a good season as Nikorima had, I've just got to nod it to O'Sullivan. Hopefully he's had a good preseason. He's fit, good to go. And I think he controls this side a lot more. And then you get Katoa to play that carefree footy on the edge.
Yeah. See, for me, I rate Isaiah Katoa's kicking game just a little bit more. I think Sean O'Sullivan's unreal, and he's a great, experienced player around. I don't know whether it's just I continue to look at Sean O'Sullivan as the Warriors Sean O'Sullivan that we've had, and just the experience we had with him there just wasn't a good one. He's definitely he kicked us to death, the field goal to death, obviously last year and all that too. So fuck him. But for me, Cody Nikorima, I've really enjoyed the form that he's played himself into as well. last year. You can really put him in and everywhere. And that's probably why, obviously, you probably got him in 14. We'll probably discuss that a little bit more later on. For me, I just think the spark of Cody Nicarima on that side, defensively, he does have issues 100%. But like the attacking ability at the back of shape, I think he just, for me, he gives a little bit more than either Isaiah Couture or Sean O'Sullivan as a 6. You know what I mean? That's just the way I looked at it.
Yeah, look, attack-wise, you could be 100% right, but when you got the guys that you got in the centers and at fullback, you need more of consistency in your halves and that can defend and attack.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing probably holding Nicarima back is consistency has always been his issue and defense has always been his issue. And
but
we saw that at the Warriors.
Season.
He did have a killer season. Even him playing fullback, I thought when in those moments, I was like, he actually can play fullback. Unreal. But was that Wayne Bennett? Was that Cody Nicarima? It's Cody Nicarima's skill set 100%, but Wayne Bennett gets the best out of these certain players as well.
100%.
Moving over to the front row pairing, my brother, who's your big boppers in the middle?
Yeah, I went with Kafusi and Saifidi.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Kafusi, more of that. You want to set the tone earlier on in the contest. He's getting older now. You want to move him to the middle, that sort of thing.
Yeah, right? That's exactly right, brother. The hitman through the middle. You know, take the grunt out of the contest to start the game.
And agreed. And Saifidi, obviously a new signing to Newcastle Knights. He's got to show his ability. He's got to get there, right? Like, yeah, I think definitely that's the 1-2 punch.
He's your main front rower now, taking over Jesse Bromwich. So he's going to have to work for it. So.
Agreed. And hopefully he hits his potential. He's got a ton of potential. Everyone's seen it and all that. He's made Origin before. Hopefully the Dolphins can get the best out of him, but it's a wait and see at the moment. Edge back rollers, bro. Who you have at the moment?
Sorry, hooker, brother. Hooker.
Oh, hooker. Sorry. Yeah, hooker. This one's who you got to hooker?
Jeremy Marshall-King.
Of course you do. But, shout out to the ex-dog.
Yeah, well, look, he has been great since he went to the Dolphins, so hopefully he can keep that form up and just stay injury-free.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, bro. I have Jeremy Marshall-King there as well. He's a ton of talent. Just injuries at the moment is holding him back. Ton of skill. Very similar to Wade Egan for me. I think they're very similar players. Incredible talent.
That's a good shout.
Injuries, bro. Injuries really hurt them 100%. Edge back rows.
I went with Tommy Gilbert, and you can say this name for me.
Ooh, you got Fene Fuyaki, haven't you?
That's the one. Yes, that is the one.
A ton of potential there from the Cowboys, bro. You've definitely seen it as well. And who was your other edge back rower? Sorry, I just missed that.
I went with Tommy Gilbert.
Tommy Gilbert. I love, yeah, I can see that. Obviously, you want to give Tommy Gilbert a bigger role at the moment, getting back to the club. Are you worried him coming back off injury again, that sort of thing? Do you reckon ease him in, or do you reckon just go out and get him in there?
Go out, get him in there. He's a hard man. He'll be all right.
Bro, and like I'm so excited to see where we can get him. Like Tom Gilbert, fully healthy. He made the Maroon squad, and he was one of our better players in that first game there too, before he got injured as well. Like,
100%. He's a workhorse, bro. Workhorse.
I can't wait to see him back and playing football. For me, I went Fene Fuyaki and Connolly Lemuelu. I think like both those guys are young, up and coming talents and stuff. Maybe lack of experience there too probably worries people, and consistency in some areas. Obviously, Fene Fuyaki only just fresh into NRL. Connolly Lemuelu does have his form dips at times too, but he's got a lot of potential as well. He's a very damaging outside back, edge back rower. So I'm excited for the future of him.
I think you just changed your lineup because you're seeing he's your neighbor and you're scared.
Shout out to Connolly Lemuelu. He lives around the corner from me. So I didn't say hello because your boy is like, he's a little bit shy. You know what I mean? But I'm sure we could be friends, a couple of dinner dates and stuff, and we can really open up,
Show us the real list, Ash. Did you really have him in there, or you only put him in there now?
I did. I rate Connolly highly, bro. And when I saw him around the corner, I was like, brother, I'm going to never talk bad to you ever again because you're probably going to run over my house when you see me talk bad. But you're going to talk bad about him, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm not at all.
Good man. Moving over to that 13 jersey, who have you got there? It's probably one of our favorite players at the moment.
Maxi Flav, brother.
He's a freak, right?
He is a freak. Oh, come to the doggies, brother. Come to the doggies.
Come to that Maroon squad as well, brother. Please. He's a freak, man. He's a killer, bro. Definitely a smoky for Maroons this year. Actually, we're saying that the amount of injury-riddled players we have coming back in that forward pack, probably a struggle, but he's got the potential, bro, right? Yeah, put him in camp for sure. I reckon that'll be a really good one there. Bench makeup, brother. This will be a little bit different between us because obviously Sean O'Sullivan and Cody Nicarima, but who you got?
Yeah, I went with Cody Nikorima. I nearly edged it to Kurt Donahue over Nikorima, and that's no knock. It's
Mm,
just about that he could be a bit more flexible. But Nikorima
I love
covers
that too.
9 and anywhere in that back line. So Nikorima is very flexible and
Yep.
very deserving of that 14 spot. So I went with him. I went with
Yep.
Mark Nichols. I went with Kenny Bromwich. And, Ash has his rosy colored glasses on with Connor. But mine are probably with Josh Kerr, and he's going to be my 17th.
Hey, why is that, Brody?
I heard he's very big.
You heard. Hey, let's go back to the old days, yeah?
Hey, you can't talk about that. We were 16.
And we're saying that. Moving on. For me, brother, I have got Sean O'Sullivan at 14 jersey. Very similar. Like, I think that he can cover for the halves. Anything goes wrong there. I think he can do a serviceable job in that number 9 role, but he's probably not the best one to be replacing Jerry Marshall King there. But either way, I think he can do a job there. Kenny Bromwich, Tom Gilbert, because I want to ease him into first grade. That's my only option there too. If he wasn't coming off a major injury, I would have him in the starting lineup, and I'll probably push out either Felice Kafusi, Connolly. Shout out Connolly.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
Or Fene Fuyaki, because I believe in this guy. Like, he's an absolute freak. But at the moment, I got him starting on the bench. And Marky Nickel, the GOAT, I got him still around about there, just there on the bench. But there's a lot of other names that could push him for that role, which I will discuss here. Josh Kerr, definitely a name that you can slot in for Mark Nichols there. Got a lot of potential still. We know about him personally, but I'm sure the NRL know about him as well now too. Ray Stone, Junior Tupou, Kurt Donahue, as you just touched on before, I rate Kurt Donahue a lot as well. He can play pretty much anywhere you really want him to go. You saw him in Fiji for playing in the 6 jersey. He can play 9. He can play anywhere you really want him to play. Great little player there. Thomas Flegler, still injured, obviously. Looking like he's probably another season maybe without Thomas Flegler, unfortunately. And that sucks for the Dolphins as such a big signing for them. And Trey Fuller, and he's out for the season as well, pretty much, or close to it, due to his knee injury at the end of last year. So, yeah, a lot of good depth there. Obviously, a couple of big injuries that doesn't add to that depth. But other than that too, Oren Keeley is another player I wanted to talk about as well. Oren Keeley, a lot of potential, coming from Norths, maybe gets a spot this year as well. We'll wait and see. With that, brother, your thoughts on the squad, your predictions?
Yeah, the squad's good, man, on paper. It's just if they do get any more unfortunate injuries, I think they really do struggle. And
agreed.
Yeah, and with that said, it's hard to rate them highly into that top 8. Still got some older heads in Kafusi and Nichols, and Kenny Bromwich. Yep. Guys that if they did get injured, then their depth has to come up, and it's not much there. So,
yeah.
With that said, I'm saying that they're going to still struggle this year. I'm going to put them at 14th.
Yeah. I'm very similar. I think they're missing a big, like an actual explosive front rower, and you could probably say Saifidi should be that guy. But when I look at Saifidi, he doesn't have that full like explosion through the line. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just, for me, it hasn't had that for a while, if he did ever have that, right? The other option there is Felice Kafusi off the bench. Tommy Gilbert can give you some of that, but he's more of a long minute, just a dog out there. Kenny Bromwich is an older man. I've got Mark Nichols. You got Josh Kerr. He has the ability to do so, but thinking of like, a proper, like a really big steamroller in the middle, like a, let's say
Joseph Tarpany or
Joseph Tarpany, yeah. Or even like just looking at guys who's the Tigers signing from the Sharkies.
Royce Hunt.
Royce Hunt. Like players like that. Like just someone to get 20 minutes just bust through. Yeah, exactly. I think they missed that too, and depth in that area as well. As soon as they lose that, they've got other players that can fill that area, but not do similar sort of roles there too. So, and there's a couple of positional headaches that the coach is going to have. Where do you have him sitting as well? You're thinking that just in between that 8 to bottom range, or what?
Yeah, I had him at 14th, but this Dolphin guy's going crazy in the chat. I feel a little bit bad, but yeah, 14th, 14th, I think.
JT is a big Dolphins fan here, but yeah, he said grand finalist 100%. Love that from you, JT. You appreciate it. Actually, GT, are you actually from the area too, brother? I just want to let you know we are from the area, so we're around about the area, so yeah. But for me, I got them I think that 12, 13, around that range. I'll have to probably really fill out my ladder and that, but that's where I really see him fitting at the moment. I see their potential to be like, if everything goes well, no injuries in that, the hammer, he'd have really good moments that can get him to maybe just around that top 8 range, like maybe 7, 8, around that. But I just see them having a little bit of hiccups and being just out of that 8 range.
Couldn't agree more. Halves are still, finding themselves, but their backline's unheard of. It's a great backline, just lacking a little bit in the forwards and their halves pairing.
Yeah, 100%. And GT, obviously back here. I am from New Zealand, but live in Brizzy. So nice. We're in Brizzy, my brother. We're in Brizzy. And sorry to the chat, guys. I've seen a couple of boys. Jazzy, thanks for fully ignoring the chat, lol. Obviously, I've missed something in the chat overall. Oh, maybe GT was ignoring the chat. I'm not too sure, but the chat's been going crazy tonight, guys, and we do appreciate it. I just want a nice flowing show for you guys to really enjoy. Any questions before we go, guys? Obviously, that was our last little one with the Dolphins. Next week, we'll be bringing you the Raiders, the Newcastle Knights, the Seagulls, and Brodie's Bulldogs. So get excited for that episode overall. It's going to be a big one.
Let's hear it. Let's go. Bring it on next week. Now. Let's do it now. Let's go now.
No, we're not doing it now. We're not doing it now. We're waiting another week. We're going to have a little bit of suspense for the people out there.
Let the hype build.
Let the hype build. Let the hype build. And
put the cover photo as a doggy, brother, and we'll be sweet. All the boys will come through, and this will be a doggies page now.
Screw those other teams that have no other players from that thumbnail. Just have a dog like in the middle of the thumbnail.
That's all you need to do, brother. That's all you need to do.
Oh, I appreciate you guys. Yo, Jazzy comes back. He goes, nah, you guys have been busy as Ash and Brodie Croft. So obviously he was talking to someone else there in the chat as well. Tahi, bro, Valentine Holmes kicking goals. Any other kickers for the D? I'm guessing for the Dragons.
Gutho, Flanagan,
Gutho.
and Ilias. They all goal kick. So
yeah, they got options there too. I'm sure I've seen Damien Cook. I'm sure I've seen Damien Cook kick before too, but he's probably not that good.
No.
He's not that good. I'm sure I've seen him kick before though.
Bro, I've seen you goal kick before. Does that mean you're good?
Hey, bro. Hey. My right leg, mate. It goes distance, baby. Distance. Probably not accuracy. No, distance.
Stick to kickoffs.
Stick to kickoffs, 100%, brother, 100%. Nah, guys, get excited for next week. It's going to be a great episode. There's probably going to be a lot of banter too. Obviously, Brodie's Bulldogs get discussed. A lot of our Warriors fans in the chat are already getting into him right now, saying the Warriors over the top of the Doggies. So that's going to be a great banter next week talking about the Dogs. But
can't remember the last time he beat us in a game, let alone on the ladder. So
well, it wasn't like 2 years ago, but the year before that, we consistently had really good moments against you.
So 2 years ago, that's a long time to go back. Oh, you blocked out, bro, actually. Yeah. No shit, you actually did. I can't hear you. I think my headphones died. I'm dead ass. These actually died. I can't hear a thing you're saying. Yeah.